Ah! Unbelievable, this country, they'll steal anything. Hello, welcome to Go Open. I'm John Vlismas, and I've just been the victim of a vicious crime. My hair has been stolen by wig thieves in downtown Johannesburg. Thanks for joining us. It's going to be a brilliant program, and thank you for watching. We really want to thank everyone who's been watching this program. Today, we lift the lid on the shady world of computer security. Then we get really small and look at embedded systems. Essentially, these are systems that are inside something. That's exactly what they technically are.
Open source software exists as a result of the combined efforts of millions of computer programmers, users, and software vendors from around the world. They share their intellectual property freely, and they believe that software should cost nothing and should enrich the lives of users. Open source software is the alternative and biggest challenger to closed source or proprietary software. It generally costs the user nothing. It can be distributed freely to anyone. Download it, use it, modify it, and give it away. It's a whole new world. Open source is the future of computing.
They say the only secure computer in the world is one that's been unplugged, taken out, juggled around, whipped in, put in a hotel, all the numbers of the rooms are taken off and shoved around, and then that's at the bottom of a dark cave in the ocean, under a volcano, under a rock. But that's not really true, because there are ways to guard against your data, or even worse, your identity, because if you haven't got your name, what have you got? Being stolen. You can still use your computer with relative ease and safety. And to find out more about that, let's speak to that guy. He's gorgeous, he's so hot. Mark Chase.
What happens when you wake up a zombie? It becomes a bot. And how do zombies get there? Usually it's worms that do the dirty deed.
Zombies, bots, worms, spiders, backdoors, and Trojans. Scary sounding names for a scary phenomenon. Not only can your data be corrupted or destroyed, but your computer can be hijacked for malicious use. Or your personal information can be stolen. Computer security is everyone's business.
Computing without security or computing without trust implies don't do computing at all.
Because if you don't practice safe computing, it's only a matter of time before you're attacked.
In 2000, Deloitte did a study in which we put a Linux machine and a Windows machine, both running web servers and databases, in their default configurations on the internet. We found that they were both compromised within the first half hour, and from then on they were compromised regularly again and again.
These attacks often came from programs called spiders. They're designed to troll the internet and look for open ports, like a thief looking for open doors, and then report back to their authors.
People will break into a system because it's vulnerable, not because of what technology it's running, nor what information it contains.
Not all attacks are malicious. It could be curious computer students exploring the internet. But then it could be spammers who want to use your computer for relaying junk mail, or criminals who are out to steal your identity.
There are a lot of software available on the internet today that can enable a lot of people just to, commit identity theft.
It's software called spyware that operates in the background, logging keystrokes and mouse clicks and sending this information back to its author. That's how your credit card details, PIN numbers and passwords can fall into the hands of someone who can then transact on your behalf.
A hacker would probably not try and hack into a bank. The bank's probably got big security systems at play. If you can hack the man-at-home's system, you've got a trusted relationship by proxy straight into the bank.
Most common vulnerabilities are found through two ways. One is malconfiguration or weak configuration of the operating system and the network services that it offers, where somebody with specially customized code can run programs against these services and use that as an entry point to break into the machine and become the administrator of that machine. And with that access, they now have total control over the system and can access all data on it, and then also use it as a launching pad for attacks on other systems.
Let's talk about open source versus proprietary security software.
As soon as a vulnerability is announced or declared in the market, the world community of the open source community is responding now. And they're responding firstly by announcing it, and secondly, they're responding by recommended ways to address the problem. In the commercial software world, your time to respond tends to be cloaked by a lot of commercial issues. And that's one of the reasons why security systems themselves tend to be based on open source technologies.
But no matter what you do, the weakest link is always the human element.
Often during penetration testing exercises, security consultants will send out emails to the users in the organization, and they will contain a malicious attachment. We find on average around about 10% of these programs will be executed, and they allow us to bypass all the firewalls and other perimeter security devices that are in place in organizations. So it just goes to show that it takes one user's mistake to get in. The organization has to lock every single door, but we only have to find one unlocked door to get in.
Well, security is everyone's business, it seems. Every week we bring you some international opinion, and this week we speak to a man that the US government chose to examine homeland security after 9/11, as well he should. Was in a bit of a shoddy state. He's a security guru, and his name, no really, I'm serious, is Bruce Schneier.
Let's jump right into it, Bruce. You being a security expert, how important is security?
Well, if you think about the promise of the internet, it's to mirror everything we do in the real world. And so really the limits of security become the limits of the internet.
What has one learnt through increased security required on all levels, from ground up all the way through to computers?
Well, I think we've learned that most security measures don't work. And a lot of security is simply selling to the public the idea of false security. I mean, airline security is a great example. Pretty much everything that's been done since 9/11 is a complete waste of time, with two exceptions: reinforcing the cockpit door and teaching passengers to fight back. And I say that because I look at security as a system. I look at the weakest link. I mean, if you spend billions of dollars defending your airplanes and the terrorists move to shopping malls, you've wasted your money. You haven't actually solved the problem. In the computer world, we get that. We know it makes no sense to increase the key length of the cryptography if the operating system is bad. Now, we know the bad guys are going to go in through the vulnerabilities, and that fixing something else isn't going to make it better.
How does an end user make sure that when he's downloading something which is free and for nothing initially, that he might not be downloading something which might also have a virus?
The way to avoid that is to only download from reputable sources. I mean, there are mechanisms, signing code, and they work for an intelligent user. But for an average user, that's going to be too complicated.
Have you been looking into providing open source packages with regards to security and antivirus software for those platforms?
Well, right now we monitor open source products. We monitor the Linux operating system. We monitor Apache. We use Snort, an open source IDS, when we monitor some of our customers. We use Linux in our monitoring box because it's much easier for us to control it and make it more secure. We can strip out the things we don't need. So already we deal with open source. I'm a strong proponent of open source. I think it's done great things. I think it's done more to improve Microsoft security than anything else, just by being competition.
Thank you once again for appearing on Go Open.
Well, good luck.
Please stick around, because in a moment we're going to find out about a box in a garden, which sounds like a Pamela Anderson video when they took a trip to Botanical Gardens, but it's not. It's something quite fascinating. Things aren't always as they seem. Computers don't have to be a keyboard with a screen and a box with a thing and that's not what they have to do. They're all around us. Embedded systems can be tiny and unobtrusive, like the brains of British princes. And yet, even as small and crazy as they are, they're all around us. Computers all around us.
Most people use computers in their everyday lives without even knowing it. DVD players, CD players, even VCRs all have computers. These are called embedded computers. Take my car, for instance. It tells me my temperature, my fuel range, even how far I have to go until my next service. Open source provides a way to develop these dedicated systems with all the benefits one would expect: low cost, ease of customization, and open standards compatibility.
You can easily get access and you get other developers, not only a single company looking after your needs, but the whole world. So chances are somebody out there has the same needs as you, and there will be a solution tailored for your needs already.
Frogfoot is a Cape Town-based tech firm run by Abraham van der Merwe and Johan Boerter. who discovered open source at university. They provide a variety of solutions for their clients, which range from small businesses to large corporations.
Well, an embedded system is a device where the actual computer is hidden from the end user. An example would be a cell phone or a wristwatch. Here, for instance, I have a device called the bandwidth manager, which is used to prioritize traffic on a customer's lease line. Inside, we have a board. This is a fully fledged computer. It has memory and a processor and network cards and storage media. So where Linux comes into the game here, or open source software, is we install an operating system on here. The user will never actually interact with that, but it's a fully fledged operating system, the same one you would run on your desktop, just stripped down a little bit more to perform certain functions.
Even large industries have looked to embedded systems for solutions. A few years ago, some casinos had a problem: too much money. Well, too many coins. Managing the millions of coins and tokens in machines was a logistical headache. They turned to Namitech in Johannesburg to create a smart card solution.
Now we started manufacturing to begin with what we call our smart cashiers, which is pretty much a bridge between where you can insert cash and it issues you a smart card with value on it. It's pretty much a memory card with a security key on there.
The smart card is inserted into a card reader running Namitech's embedded Linux in the machine. All transactions are verified and authorized on the central server in the casino. Instead of coins, it's the card that pays and receives payouts. Adrian and his engineers chose Linux as an operating system mainly for security reasons.
But it's every step. I mean, you also got sort of devices reading at the sort of cash out machines that can read this. You've got machines that loads value onto this, that has to read it. So every component of your system there has to be secure. For a lot of this, we also use Linux on the server side for exactly that thing as well, that we can lock down specific features on our server.
Dimitrios Savidis of Powerband works mainly with embedded systems that make life a little easier.
We could take a house or a building or an apartment block and link in a power line modem, which basically allows you to create networks over a 220-volt cable system. It'll use your electricity as a conduit, as opposed to cabling the entire building. And it's all controlled really from a firewall type embedded platform. So if you're sitting at work and you decide you want to turn the chicken on an hour before you get home, you could basically log into your house, see the entire infrastructure and say, turn the microwave on, turn the front porch light on, and turn the pool pump off.
In the not too distant future, all gadgets will become mini computers. What that means is that everything will talk to everything.
It's not all about international heroes, though. The South African open source scene also has some heroes. And who better to speak to about computer security than Coltrane Nyati? He's here in the studio. How's it, Coltrane?
Hi, John.
Tell us a little bit first about how you started getting involved in computers.
I think it started back at school when I was doing my standard 8. There was a science lab created in our rural village back in Bushbuckridge.
You've gone on to do quite a lot of work in computer security.
Yes.
Particularly with banking. Can you tell me a bit about that?
Okay. I think in the banks, normally in an ATM, there's a PIN pad. If you insert your card, you enter a PIN. And the PIN pad normally protects your PIN that you enter and sends to the bank for verification. So normally those PIN pads, they use unique keys to protect that information, and those keys are unique to each and every ATM. So you can imagine if a bank has 800 ATMs, there's 800 keys that they need to manage.
It's a big bunch of keys.
Exactly.
Okay.
And every day, the way they protect your information is such that the algorithm or the method used is such that if you keep the keys for more than a day, then it can be cracked. So the program I wrote, and it was on an open source platform, was a program to manage those keys, have a secure database, and make sure that no one knows the keys, including myself in the bank. Only the systems know the keys.
Coltrane, you've gone on to work with the government, Home Affairs particularly, and you're using open source platforms to kind of do stuff with Home Affairs. Can you tell us a little bit about the government's involvement in open source?
By software, there's license that goes with the software. And if you deploy this software widely, we will pay a lot of money, especially in government. For example, in Home Affairs, we have over 3,000 employees. So you can imagine the number of licenses for all the different types of software that we'll use. So in open source, we're saying as government, we can load open source as our operating system, as well as the tools on top of this will be open source. Then we save on licensing. We just need to train our users on how we use this.
Coltrane, thanks so much for coming in. It's been great to have you. So you think you're a computing boffin, huh? Do you, huh? Those glasses don't fool me. Prove it to us. Get yourself an open source international computer driver's license. Just go to www.icdl.org for the details and choose the open source license. You too could have a fancy certificate to hang on your wall and impress people with, much like I did, except I crossed out the driving license part and put in international Czech driving license dot there. So we'll see you after this. We're back. You're watching Go Open. We're talking about computer security. And, well, where are we most vulnerable? Where do all the little viruses and Trojans get in? Well, I saw the film, got the news. They're in the horse. But really, in the mailbox. That's what you have to watch. So here's Mark Shuttleworth discussing a mail client who has more than just a little built-in security.
Today we're doing it with email. Now, email is obviously one of the most important applications for people who use the internet all the time. And Thunderbird, or Mozilla Thunderbird, is my favorite open source email application. Thunderbird has all sorts of features to make you more productive with email. I particularly like the way it manages spam so that I get less junk mail, and also the way it lets me store and search through thousands and thousands of messages.
Mozilla Thunderbird is quick and easy to set up, and is customizable with extensions and themes. But its real power lies in its junk mail filter, which gives you Bayesian control over spam. Another great security feature in Thunderbird is the ability to disable images in messages, which can be a way for spyware or worms to get onto your system. In addition, mail filters help you sort mail from mailing lists or specific clients.
So, whichever operating system you prefer, you can use Thunderbird for your email.
Thanks, Mark. What a great story. I love the smell of Mozilla in the morning mail. If you'd like to own the entire series of Go Open on DVD, you can go to our website, www.goopensource.org, and you can buy them for 199 Rand. And now turning to matters rural. Oh, look at that turning. That's very good. Anyway, HP have just launched a wonderful project to take the internet to the rural community. carpool.com. It's very exciting and allows everyone in the community to find out more about self-sustaining development.
Out in Limpopo, aside from the weather, what could possibly be hot out here?
The HPI Community Center in Limpopo is home to the Box in a Box in a Garden, a prototype of a shipping container filled with computers, all in a vegetable and herb garden. But what have cabbages got to do with computers?
The Box in the Garden is using IT, and that's open source based. It is this HP 441, which is an open source based PC, which has 4 terminals connected to the box, 4 monitors, and 4 people use it at the same time. And these things will have all the training materials required for a sustainable livelihood. How to do, for example, the drip irrigation, the water sanitation, water purification, how to have sustainable herb gardens, medicinal gardens. And all of this PC literacy training, etc., will all be on this box that will come in a container. And this is a very effective way of getting education to the people. Not only education, but job creation as well. We intend to have this rolled out throughout the whole of Africa and hopefully the world as well.
From a technical point of view, what benefits have you seen in running this BBG using open source?
We need to put thousands of these boxes all over the place, and if we're going to look at proprietary software with license fees, it becomes very unsustainable. I mean, here we're looking at something that works out to a few thousand rands and can become very affordable because of open source. We're going to be generating power using a solar panel that gets laminated on the roof of this box, and that would provide enough power to run this entire box in a garden.
Rafilu is here and she's got some security and embedded device related websites you may find rather interesting.
Security, security, security. If you're twitching with a bit of paranoia, that's good, because security is one of the most important concerns of computing today.
click your way to www.securityfocus.com, and there you'll be able to keep track of all the nasties currently buzzing around the web. And while you're on the site, you can also find articles relevant to your operating system or join one of the free mailing lists for a daily security digest. One security company even provides a global threat meter, indexing how dangerous it is to be surfing the internet right now. Definitely a must-see, especially if you're an aspiring cracker or hacker. Now that you've got security on the brain, you should get out more with your mobile device. Check out www.linuxdevices.com to get up to date with the latest and greatest devices running your favorite open source operating system. linuxdevices.com has news and reviews from around the world, with articles focusing on various gadgets and news about Linux-friendly vendors. There's a large and growing gallery of gadgets and devices running embedded Linux. So from handheld computers to Linux-based robots, there's something cool for everyone. Now that you've started drooling over all the newfangled contraptions running Linux, why not point your browser at www.tuxmobile.org and find out how you can put Linux onto the devices you already own. Tux Mobile has a large repository of stories and case studies to choose from, so go in and dig around for your model of laptop or even palm top and try Linux out today. Now don't delay, go to securityfocus.com and get up to date with what's happening in computer security. Then head straight to linuxdevices.com to check out the latest and greatest Linux gadgets. Finally, tuxmobile.org is the place where you'll learn how you can put Linux onto your mobile gizmos.
Get out your crib notes and it's time for the competition. All you have to do is answer this question correctly and you can win the following fantastic prizes. There's a PhotoSmart digital camera and color printer from Hewlett Packard. There are 2 separate DVD writers from LG and as well as a 17-inch flat screen monitor. Some Soviet clothing as well. The question is quite simple. Is embedded Linux A, an operating system for use by journalists in Iraq? B, a small customized operating system for single-use systems? Or C, a portable computer you can play with in your bed? Send your answer, just A, B or C will do, plus your name to 34357 and you'll be charged 2 rand in SMS. And the winners of last week's competition are...
Johannes Nordier is the proud winner of the 17-inch LG monitor. Ken Meyers and Jonathan Chrissinger each receive an LG DVD writer. Gideon Hubert and Aziz Series will look stylish when they wear their Soviet jeans. And Maria Boshoff gets that HP digital camera and printer bundle. Well done.
Well, that brings us to the end of our episode on security. We hope we've given you some education to sort of arm yourself so that you're secure in your computing, as a squirrel's nuts are when they're tucked in a tree. Next week we look at open source in education. We also take a look at a local Linux distro with a difference. Very exciting. Then we meet some people who like to fiddle with their software. I know, rather distasteful. Until then, stay free, stay happy, and like the shops that never close, stay open.